Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar again. So it's another edition of our series that actually we have been running for years right now. Yeah, there are perhaps people that have joined us before, and perhaps others that are joining us for the first time. We have about 30 minutes. Well, we always have a bit of room for some slack there. What's on the menu, I will explain in a bit. For now, if you like, you can share a short message in the chat, just telling a bit on where you are located, what do you do, what your interest is. Perhaps it's a personal interest or a professional interest in regard to cycling. So if you can share a bit about yourself in the chat, that's always nice to hear and to read. What we have on the menu for this afternoon, at least afternoon where we sit. Shortly, introductions. Then the main story for today is a data-driven cycling policy enhancement by Joost. He will introduce himself in a bit. I will highlight, after that story, I will highlight further learning opportunities, and then there's room for Q&A and discussions. So hope you are ready to go. At least I am. A little bit about this webinar and where it's coming from. This is organized by DTV. DTV consultants. We are road safety and cycling experts. We've been doing this for a while. One of the things that makes us proud is the development of the Dutch bicycle design manual, the CRO manual, so to say. We've been doing a lot of design safety assessments across the Netherlands, and have been working abroad as well. And what is a special feature of our company is our capacity building department, if you like. So we organize trainings and educational programs in the field of cycling infrastructure, mobility planning, and traffic engineering. And that is, what this is. This webinar is one of the activities that fits perfectly in this envelope. We are a member of the Dutch Cycling Embassy. Perhaps that was the channel or the post that triggered you to sign up for this webinar. On dutchcycling.nl, there's a wealth of knowledge, even more knowledge that we are providing over here about cycling infrastructure, data, etc. So everything in regard to cycling. And that is, why are we doing this? We actually hope that we can help you to take some shortcuts in developing safe and successful bicycle infrastructure. So we are sharing cycling or experience we've been developing, gaining in the Netherlands, and trying to translate it in some useful insights that you can apply back home. And we do that with a personal and proven approach there. So this is, without further ado, I would like to invite you, Joost, to take over the screen, to introduce yourself a bit and tell us all about data-driven or data-supported cycle policy enhancement. Joost, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Tije. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joost de Kruijf. I'm collaborating quite a bit with Tije. I'm from the Netherlands, and today I'm going to shortly present some things about data-driven cycle policy enhancement. And the interesting point is, when talking about cycle data and data-driven cycle policy, a lot of people think about traffic counting. I try to bring an inspiring presentation about what's more to come. So, yes, I'm going to introduce the way we think about data-driven cycle policy enhancement, one of the things to start off with is the division in cyclist, bicycle, and cycle path intelligence. Because talking about cycling, there is a mix between the cyclist, the bicycle, and the cycle path. And in the Netherlands, we are facing quite some challenges because of the introduction of new bicycle types, where over the past decades, the Dutch designed cycling infrastructure for the regular bike. New types of e-bikes, race bikes, cargo bikes are entering the bike path. So we have to take them into account. We have dedicated cycle programs for the elder to start and keep cycling on elder age. So taking into account all the variables from the different cyclists, the bicycles, and the different types of bike path, we are trying to understand cycling better. For the people who are not so familiar with the Netherlands, the person on the bike is our king. It's a bit dated photo from 2017, but this is our royal being on a bike on Velocity Arnhem-Nijmegen. It's interesting because in the Netherlands, cycling is quite regular. Everybody more or less is able to cycle. So cycling is quite common in the Netherlands, and I think that's one of our biggest challenges so far, because cycling is so regular. It's difficult to stimulate going from good to great. So what happened over the last couple of years? The Netherlands invested a lot in a joint program called Tour de Force. And all the road authorities set a new ambition for a 20% increase in kilometers cycled between 2017 and 2027. So, although the cycling rates in the Netherlands are quite already on a high standard, we want to increase because I think similar to a lot of regions and countries across the world, cycling is regarded as the sustainable alternative to car transport. So also in the Netherlands, we are pushing quite hard to get more people on the bike. We have 3 intervention pillars. It's strengthening the cycling network, improving bicycle parking, and stimulating bike usage. So by stimulation programs. That's good to know because you can do quite a bit, and by defining these 3 pillars, also the money involved will be channeled. And because of, and maybe I'm going quite fast, but the time is limited, we want, because the investments for the interventions are piling up, so there's a massive amount of money needed for all the interventions, the urge for better data-driven answers to the effectivity about the investments is needed. So what I'm going to show you is how we think about data-driven cycle policy enhancement, and take you also into our work, which we have done over the last decade, so to say. This is, for your understanding, one of the major cities in the Netherlands. And in an international perspective, we have small cities. So this city is approximately 200,000 people. And I think 4 or 5 years ago, we built this map. And this map is quite innovative still, because it is the cyclability or the accessibility of the train station of the city of Tilburg throughout the city. So the more green the color of the building, the more cycle accessible it is. So the further you go from the cycle, further from the train station, the more time you need to cycle. So at first we built this map. We were extremely proud that we could make the geospatial analysis. We sent it to the road authorities and asked for their feedback, and they said, "That's a really great map you built, Joost." And then I thought, okay, this is not helping because I think it gives insights into the cycle accessibility of train stations. So we went back to the drawing board and then thought, okay, we have translated GPS data from people on a bike to an actual digital network and translate it into the cyclability of buildings. So for your understanding, the yellow is, I think, 10 minutes or 15 minutes of cycling to the train station. So that gives insight. And afterwards we thought, okay, we need a new narrative. So what we did is combine the GPS data, which we already translated into accessibility, with, and that's also for the international perspective, there is a really big national survey on how people tend to behave on an average day. So what we did there is use another data source because it's about data-driven cycle policy enhancement. We used a national survey about the mobility patterns of people and then derived how much time people take to go to the public transport. And what you now see, which popped up, is a graph of the travel time decay function. And I have to explain a bit, but I think then it makes quite a bit of sense. The green line is, no, the red line is if you take 10 minutes of cycling to the intercity train station, and that's for the international perspective, it's the blue line. 64% of people are willing to take the bike to the train station. And then we thought, okay, if we are able to increase or improve the cycle network, that people have to cycle 2 minutes less to the train station. So instead of 10 minutes, it takes them 8 minutes of cycling. How much will be the gain for all cyclists? And then the likelihood of people going by bike to the train station increased from 64% to 79%. So that's massive. So then instead of a nice picture, we can say, okay, if you do something about network improvement, we can make an estimation of how many more cyclists there will be on the train station using the bike as mode of transport to get to the train station. Then it gave perspective to the city of Tilburg and some other cities around the Netherlands, and they said, yeah, now it is starting to help out. The interesting part is, and that's also for the presentation, I'm going to give you a second perspective, because we often tend to build data-driven cycle policy enhancement for governments, and this is ASML, and it's one of the biggest chip manufacturers, so the computer chip manufacturers in the world. It's situated in the region we are living in, and for your understanding, there are 15,000 people working there, scattered through the region, and they say we are quite one of the causes of big car congestion problems and accessibility problems in the region, and we want to do something about getting our employees to work by bike. So they made a first rough indication themselves, and then they didn't find a proper solution, so they reached out and asked, and it's, of course, I work in a team, but they asked, Joost, can you help us out, because we do our utmost, but we are not getting there what we want. So I use a piece of presentation I also used at ASML's, and in the access and mobility regulations of ASML, they say everybody within a commuting distance of 10 kilometers gets a cycle incentive program. And that's interesting, because then I think we are old school cycle policy builders, because these kinds of things are developed on a regular bike with an average speed of 15 kilometers an hour, so a 40-minute commuting time. And it's interesting because in our work we tend to neglect the distance and move on to time, because then you have the delay factor and the speed differences between cyclists. So we said to ASML, maybe you have to get rid of the 10 kilometers commuting distance range, because distance doesn't say everything. So then ASML said, okay, we are going to go one step further. We are going to share all the home locations of people working at ASML. And ASML said, yeah, we have made a table, and I showed the table at the right-hand side of the screen. So 4,928 employees live at a 40-minute bike ride from ASML. So ASML says, okay, approximately 5,000 people should come by bike. And if we are going to look in the bike parking of ASML, there are no 5,000 cyclists in our bike parking. We can facilitate it, but can you explain to us why there are no 5,000 cyclists in our bike parking? And then we said yes, but we already introduced the travel time decay function on, this is the one on commuting. So when the commuting time increases, the likelihood of taking the bike decreases. And I think that seems logical, although there are a lot of people who think this is a straight line, so everybody keeps cycling. And if you then reflect it to the normal coffee machine talks, people say, yeah, but I think I'm not cycling for half an hour because it's raining and it's windy and I don't like cycling. So although the Netherlands are known for cycling, a vast majority of people does not take the bike. But we explained to ASML, if we take into account the travel time decay function and translate that to the amount of employees, you get a new graph. And this is the graph where we multiply the amount of employees with the likelihood of cycling. So we explained, after I think 15 to 20 minutes commuting, the amount of people taking the bike decreases rapidly. So instead of, and I will go explain it on the graph shown, instead of, let's say 5,000 people, no, we have to take the orange line. So we take the line, the lowest line, and if we go then to the 40-minute point, there are the approximately 5,000 people there. But if we look at what we could expect, it's less than 2,000 cyclists in the bike parking. And then we explained to ASML, if you could increase the likelihood with 10%, so people will cycle 10%, 20%, 30% faster over the network, the range is more or less 500 people in the bike shed. So the solutions is not only trying to stimulate the people within the range of 30 or 40 minutes of cycling to ASML. And then the trick came where we add, and I have to be short in time, so it's a bit of a compact story, and I can understand that it's going quite rapidly. The key, because I started with the improvement of data-driven cycle policy for governments. This is some insights we built for private companies. And then we told ASML, we know one thing more. I will skip this one. Back. We said, and I didn't take the picture into account in the presentation, but then we said we also know where the governments are going to invest in the cycle network. So on top of this picture, we can also show what the result is for ASML if the government does something about the network accessibility. So then it comes in one comprehensive picture where the governments can invest or are going to invest to increase the cycle network and what the benefit is for the individual companies. So I hope it's a bit clear that not only the public, but also the private perspective can change by data-driven cycle insights. I'm limited in time, so I cannot show you everything on this picture, but what we did, and I will go and explain really briefly. The top left picture is the cycle accessibility of all the train stations in the Netherlands. The mid top picture is all the places where the cyclists encounter car traffic. And for example, in the middle row on the downside of the picture, there is, using GPS data, all people taking a specific bridge or a tunnel in the network crossing a river. And all those pieces, and it's too short, and I discussed it with Tayo what to show and what not to explain really elaborative, but the interesting point is once you have the data, it's not so much about building nice maps, but it's more important to explain what people can do with it. So the action perspectives based on these maps, although we built numerous maps and we are really proud of the way we built the maps, it's more what you can do with the maps. And that's what I wanted to show you with this exciting picture, but because normally the presentations which I give is about what we see on the screen. And this map particularly shows what road authorities cannot see. And it's an amazing map. It's another city in the Netherlands. Using GPS data collected by mobile phones by bicycle users in the Netherlands, we map matched all the behaviors on a digital map of the city. And the particular picture you now see are all the bike movements which we cannot map to the network. And that's interesting, because normally when we talk about car traffic or we talk about public transport, everybody behaves properly and uses the network which is designed for car traffic or public transport. But the bicycle and the cyclists are cocky, so they think they know better. And if we are going to zoom in, this is what the French call a cul-de-sac, so a dead-end street. So from the right-hand side of the zoom-in picture, there are cyclists coming over the network, so the red lines are cyclists, and they, in some way, use the network, although there is a dead-end street. So what we showed to the road authority of the city of Maastricht, there are people misusing your network. So you have a digital network and you think you know best because you are Dutch government, but there are people misusing the network. And then instead of a goat path on the meadow, they built a shortcut for cyclists to facilitate all the people who would like to use the shortcut in the dead-end street, but they adjusted the infrastructure to accommodate the cyclist. And I'm going to skip back to the whole map, because for the understanding, when you want to build data-driven cycle policy, you have to understand the use of the network and the misuse of the network lacking. I'm a bit limited in time. So what I would like to pinpoint, there are quite some interesting videos. So the YouTube channel with the link is going to explain a bit more in a short video produced together with AAT, so the European Innovation and Transport organization, is about cycling intelligence and how cycling increases accessibility. So if you want to know more about what I told or what colleagues of mine try to explain with data-driven cycle policy enhancement, please watch the video. There are more videos there trying to put all the puzzle pieces of the puzzle together. Although it was quite short, fast, and maybe a lot, I hope you enjoyed the short presentation, and I will give the floor back to Taye.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joost. And believe me, everybody, this was a really shortened version of what Joost normally teaches. And as mentioned before we I move over to the Q&As. I saw some really interesting questions coming up already. So Joost, you might want to have a short look at them as well. I also saw all of you coming from around the globe, from Europe, Sweden, to the US, Florida, Michigan, Estonia, Burkina Faso, the Philippines. Thank you for joining and listening to this story. This was only like a really sneak preview of what we can do. So if you would like to learn more, we have a full week dedicated on bicycle infrastructure, and we have Joost in the program as well, explaining even more about data, also data collection, means and types of technologies that are used. And how to apply it. These were just a couple of examples. And we linked that to the bigger picture on how to plan your networks, how to design accordingly, and but more important, how to apply it back home. So we will be doing another edition of our training in June next year. This is the week after Velocity, which will be hosted in Belgium again. So in our scales, this is in the backyard. So if you're planning to go to Velocity, just drop by in this training as well. There's a really great after movie there as well on our YouTube channel. What is featured? It's expert lectures. It's a lot of going out there, cycling, observations, site visits to Rotterdam, Utrecht, Breda, so the larger cities and the smaller cities. And it's working about your case study, where we have personal guidance, coaching to help you out to set the next step in your state, city, municipality, or in your advocacy work, all related to network planning and infrastructure design. And if you do your best, if you present your case study with everything we would like to hear, then we will award you a certificate of completion. And then, as you can see, you will be proud and smiling there as well, shining there as well. So thank you for listening to the story.